Tell me, I mean, towards the end of history, the part that most people didn't read or think about, you talk about the people who live in a settled liberal society, liberal democracy, and you call them the last men or men without chests, which is, I think, Nietzsche's description. Who are we in this liberal democracy in 2022?
Well, I think that the men without chests metaphor really has to do with a certain human emotion of pride. And it's based on a psychology the ancient philosophers like Plato and Aristotle understood very well, especially Plato, who said that there's this part of the soul he labeled thumos, or spiritedness. And, the idea behind that is that people don't just crave material goods, they crave recognition, glory. People's opinions of them matter very much. And oftentimes, if they don't get adequate recognition, they get extremely angry. And if you think about it, that motivates a lot of politics. People believe that politics is over at the distribution of material goods, and obviously that's important. But you think about many of the issues, women's rights, civil rights, gay rights, these are all dignity issues fundamentally, and they're being pushed by people that feel they're not recognized and they're not treated with the kind of respect that they deserve. And I think that the idea of the last man, it does all come from Nietzsche, who had a kind of contempt for liberal politics in the modern world that had emerged in Europe in the 19th century, where there basically wasn't this pride and aspiration, to greater things, because these liberal societies had achieved peace and prosperity. And so people were content to, feather their own nest, pay attention to their little circles of friends and family, but not be involved in, anything greater than themselves. And I think that this was the condemnation that he had of, in a sense, of a peaceful, successful liberal society, that people don't just want peace and prosperity, they want community, they want striving. And I think, as I said in one of the passages in that book, if they can't struggle for justice, they'll struggle against justice, because what they want to do is struggle.
That there remains this deep yearning in the human psyche to advance oneself, or to have oneself acknowledged, to have oneself honored in a way, talked about, put center. For me, the whole concept of a liberal democracy in which you leave politics behind and you cultivate your own garden, you have your own friends, and you don't engage in any great political projects, always struck me as an incredibly nice way of living. I regarded it as a kind of wonderful achievement that Western society had created a space where we could just get on with our lives and create what meaning we have in our own spaces. We can't necessarily, we have to learn. We can't impose that on the society as a whole. We can't demand other people have the same values as we do. And yet, of course, it's very unsatisfying people to go on thinking, well, my life is about getting a mortgage, getting a family or whatever, settling down, having a nice garden, and then dying, which is really what liberal democracy offers you. And that is a lot, I think. I mean, ask people in Ukraine whether that's worth dying for. I think they would say, yes, it absolutely is. It's underrated.